Hello everyone, welcome to Indian Polity Mastery. My name is Gautaman Mohan. Today I am going to discuss about the money bill. So money bill is very important because we have several other bills also like the ordinary bill, the finance bill, and we have the constitutional amendment bill. So all these bills are there. So there are certain confusion regarding what is the difference between a money bill and an ordinary bill. Definitely there are certain differences. So let us try to understand an introduction or an overview about what is the money bill. So if you look at the money bill, you can see that it is actually mentioned in the Constitution of India. So where it is mentioned? Article 110 of the Constitution deals with money bill. So in Article 110, 110, it clearly mentions about the money bill. So money bill, if you look at the general aspects regarding the money bill can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha with the recommendation of the President. But in the case of an ordinary bill, it is not needed. The recommendation of the President is not needed. But in the case of money bill, it can be introduced only in Lok Sabha with the recommendation of the President. And it is considered to be a government bill and can be introduced by a minister. So when it is a government bill, usually it will be introduced by a minister only. And if it is a private member's bill, it can be introduced by an MP who is not a minister. And Rajya Sabha cannot reject or amend the money bill. So when we are discussing about the legislative process, you know that a bill will be passed in a particular house. Okay, suppose it will be passed in Lok Sabha, then it will be going to the Rajya Sabha. If there are certain amendments in the Rajya Sabha, they will actually make those amendments. So that is a process. But here, if you look at the money bill, the Lok Sabha has an upper hand in all the aspects. So that is why the Rajya Sabha cannot reject or amend the money bill. So the Rajya Sabha has very restricted powers in connection with the money bill. Rajya Sabha can make recommendation and return the bill to Lok Sabha within 14 days. So they have the option of making the recommendation, but that recommendation whether to accept or not, it is the discretion or the decision of the Lok Sabha. So they need to return the bill to the Lok Sabha within 14 days with or without recommendation. If they are making any recommendation or if they are not making any recommendation, they have to return the bill within 14 days. And Lok Sabha can either accept or reject all or any of the recommendations by the Rajya Sabha. So very, very important. So this particular sentence itself clearly tells us that the Lok Sabha has an upper hand over the Rajya Sabha in the matters of money bill. In the case of an ordinary bill, both houses have equal powers, whereas in the case of money bill, the Lok Sabha has an upper hand. So it's very important to understand about that, because here itself we have already mentioned that the money bill can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha with the recommendation of the President. Prior recommendation of the President is needed. So it is introduced in the Lok Sabha itself. So that is why Lok Sabha has an upper hand, and the Rajya Sabha has very restricted powers in relation with the money bill. Now, what is considered as a money bill? So we are actually talking about money bill, but what do you mean by money bill? How can you identify a money bill? So let us try to understand that. A bill shall be deemed to be a money bill if it contains only provisions dealing with all or any of the following matters. So either all these matters should be there or any of these matters should be there, then only we can actually consider it as a money bill. So what are those matters? One, the imposition, abolition, remission, alteration or regulation of any tax. So something connected with the tax. If it is something connected with the imposition, abolition or remission of a tax, then you can actually consider it as a money bill. The regulation of the borrowing of money by the union government. So very important, is something connected with the borrowing of money, and its regulation is actually coming under the money bill. The custody of the consolidated fund of India or the contingency fund of India, the payment of money into or the withdrawal of money from any such fund. So the payment into consolidated fund or contingency fund or the withdrawal of money from consolidated fund or contingency fund can be considered as a money bill. The appropriation of money out of the consolidated fund of India can also be considered as a money bill. The declaration of any expenditure charged on the consolidated fund of India or increasing the amount of any such expenditure. So here you can understand that everything that is connected with the Consolidated Fund of India can be connected with the money bill or can be considered as a money bill. So that is a hint actually we are actually getting from all these provisions. Then the receipt of money on account of the Consolidated Fund of India or the public account of India or the custody or issue of any such money or the audit of the accounts of the union or of the state. Very important. So the receipt of money, something connected with the receipt of money with relation to the account of the consolidated fund or public account, or something connected with the audit of the accounts of the union or of the state can be considered as a money bill, and any matter incidental to any of the matters specified above is also can be considered as a money bill. So all these aspects, if it is included in a particular bill, you can consider it as a money bill, or any of these the provisions that we are actually mentioned in this particular slide, if it is there in a particular bill, you can actually consider it as a money bill. So this is how we need to identify a money bill, because it's very important to identify a money bill. If there is any confusion regarding whether it is a money bill or not, who has the authority to say that? Okay, who has the authority to decide that? It is the Speaker of the Lok Sabha has the authority to decide whether it is a money bill or not. So very, very important. So it is actually identified by the Speaker. The decision is actually taken by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. So we have discussed about the provisions that actually tells us how to identify a money bill, and some of the things that actually tells us, some of the provisions which actually tells us how to identify a bill which is not a money bill. That means a bill is not to be deemed to be a money bill by reason only that it provides for the following the provision. So if it is actually included in a particular bill, you cannot actually consider it as a money bill just because of the fact that this is included, but that doesn't mean that it is a money bill. So what are all those features? One is imposition of fines or other pecuniary penalties. So it is actually connected with the money, it is actually connected with some sort of financial aspects, but it is not considered as a money bill. The demand or payment of fee for licenses or fee for services rendered cannot be considered as a money bill. Then imposition, abolition, remission, alteration or regulation of any tax by any local authority. Okay, here they are mentioning about the local authority or body for local purposes. Okay, so these three important provisions you need to take into consideration, because if it is actually included in a bill, then you cannot actually consider it as a money bill. Okay, so it's very, very important if that is included, because it has some connection with the financial aspect, that doesn't mean that it is a money bill. So it's very, very important to understand about that. In the beginning, we were discussing about the power of the Rajya Sabha, or the duty of the Rajya Sabha to make recommendations, if needed, recommendations in the money bill. But whether to accept that or not is actually decided by the Lok Sabha. So what happens if the Lok Sabha passes a money bill and it is actually going to the Rajya Sabha and they are actually giving certain recommendations, or without any recommendation they are actually sending it back to the Lok Sabha? What will happen? Let us try to understand. If the Lok Sabha accepts the recommendations of the Rajya Sabha, the entire recommendations or any one of the recommendations, if the Lok Sabha accepts, the bill is deemed to have been passed by both houses of the parliament. Okay, so with the updations, the bill is actually deemed to have been passed by both the houses if the Lok Sabha accepts that. But if the Lok Sabha does not accept the recommendations of the Rajya Sabha, what happens is the bill is deemed to have been passed by both the houses of the parliament in the original form. That means how it was actually consolidated, how it was actually decided in the Lok Sabha in the initial format or in the original form. In that form itself, it will be accepted and it will deem to have been passed by both the houses of the parliament. And if Rajya Sabha does not return the bill to the Lok Sabha within 14 days, because we already mentioned about that, because the Rajya Sabha has to return the bill within 14 days. If it is not returning the bill within 14 days, then also the bill is deemed to have been passed by both the houses of the parliament in the original form. That is, without any amendments or without any recommendations, the bill is actually passed in the original form. They consider it as passed. Now, after both the houses pass the bill, what will happen? It will actually go for the assent of the president. So that is also very important here. So it will go for the assent of the president. So here the president has the three important options. That is, actually speaking, two important options. What are those options? One, give his assent. Okay, he can actually agree to the bill and he give his assent. The second one is withhold his assent. Do not give the assent to the bill. But there is an option for the president to return the bill for reconsideration for ordinary bills. You know about it, right? But in the case of money bill, the president does not have the power to return the bill for reconsideration. So very important to understand that the president cannot return the bill for reconsideration. He has only two options here, mainly give his assent or withhold his assent. Very important, give his assent or withhold his assent, but cannot return the bill for reconsideration. So what happens is the president gave his assent. Why? Because you know that the money bill is actually introduced in the Lok Sabha only with the prior recommendation of the president. So president already knew about it. So with the recommendation of the president only, it will be introducing, initially it will be introducing in the Lok Sabha. So usually the president gave his assent to the money bill. So these are the important aspects regarding the money bill. It has its own differences with the ordinary bill. So in the upcoming videos, we will understand more about the other bills also, like the ordinary bill, financial bills and all. So we will learn about it. So hope you have got an understanding regarding the money bill, and whatever doubts you had about money bill, I think you were able to clear some of those doubts. So if this video was useful, kindly share and subscribe this channel. And please do share this video with your friends if it is useful for them, if you feel like it is useful for them, and also enable the bell icon so that you will get the notification regarding the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching the video and give your comments in the comment section.